what has he done to my husband? And so when he walks in, he was very, very easy to spot because he had the black galabea on and he had his hat on and the black beard. And I'm looking, and this was during the time of, what's his name?
Not long after terrorist attacks.
Yeah. So I was like, he looks like somebody from the Al-Qaeda watch list. I'm a little bit concerned here. So everybody's looking at Abuna. Did she just say that out loud? That's the second time he's heard that. And so we sat, we had lunch, we asked questions, and Abuna told us, he said, just be careful because know that there have been Protestants that come just to check this out and they end up becoming Orthodox. And I was like, he's so cute. That's so not going to happen. So the next Sunday I go to the church, and first thing is, it's a beautiful, beautiful church, but I walk in and I'm used to more Protestant. It looks like, even with the stained glass, this is not as Protestant as as far as the room, and it's not very like a lot of decor in here right now, no icons or anything like that. But I'm used to a stage, and I'm used to the worship team, and I'm used to lights, and I'm used to smoke, and I'm used to all kinds of things. Which Tilo likes to point out, there's smoke machines in the ancient church too. This is our smoke machine. But I guess you could say that my anti-Catholic Protestant spidey senses were tingling. I was like thinking, this looks very, very Catholic, and I'm very uncomfortable right now with this gaudy red carpet and these huge gold chandeliers and these priests in these robes. And when we walked up, people were kissing the priest's hands and then kissing their hand when they came in. And I just was mortified because I'm like, that's so not going to happen. It's like fist bump. Nice to meet you, bro. But let me see how we're doing on time here. Okay. I do want to share a quick story that it's really, really unfair and cruel what you do to Protestant women that don't know how to kiss a priest's hand. Like, you could tell us about the nose bump and the forehead bump ahead of time, that you can just do that instead of actually kissing their hand. Because what happened is we were invited to this really intimate small meeting where it was with 4 priests, and it was with about 4 lay people. And as we were meeting, then Anba Serapion comes in. Okay, now everybody stands up and everybody's greeting him. And he's going around the table and they're kissing the cross and kissing his hand. Well, he's approaching me and my anxiety is going up and up and up. And to top it off, ladies, I had just put on that kind of gooey, sticky lip gloss that your hair gets stuck in. You know, that kind of, you know what I'm talking about. Guys, you don't know, but it's a thing.
We're just inquirers. We're not even catechumens.
We're not even catechumens at this point, but my lip gloss was popping. I do want to say that. So he's coming around and my anxiety's going up on what am I going to do. So when he finally gets in front of me, I stick out my hand. Very graciously, Anba Serapion takes his cross, shifts it to the other hand, and shakes my hand. And I'm thinking, Tilo is on my right side, and I'm thinking, he's totally got my back. He'll be the other white guy, and he'll shake his hand too, right? No, he kisses his hand. So now he's gone around this very small, intimate table, and I'm the only one that that shook his hand. So I lean over to Tilo and I said, I'm the only one that didn't kiss his hand. And he said, I know. And he said, everyone knows. So when we were going to leave, I was going to kiss anybody's hand that would let me. I'm just grabbing hands and kissing them left and right. But there was something else that I didn't know, and that is what is this when you guys do that? So this high five thing, the psych, you know. So down low, too slow. All right. So nobody had told me about that either. People, help us out here when your visitors come. So what had happened was I went to go kiss his hand, and he went to slide his hand, but he didn't do the one like this. He did it really smoothly, and I was like, no, I'm going to kiss your hand. So I'm holding his hand, he's pulling, and I let go, and I slapped myself in the face.
The record of this is actually recorded in the doxology of Saint Anastasia the Blonde.
She slapped herself in the face for humility. No, actually, it was just because she was blonde. But so coming to Orthodoxy was really, really difficult for me. So, like I said, when I walked in, it was very gaudy to me, and there was somebody that came and sat down with me. I mean, it was beautiful, but it just wasn't my thing. And there was somebody that came and sat with me and started walking me through the liturgy. And I have to tell you, that if you ever get visitors, please note that you have visitors. If you have people that look confused, they don't know where to sit, they don't know when to stand, when to sit, please offer to sit with them and offer, would you like me to walk you through the liturgy? Because if it was not for Mariam Yusuf who sat with me, I would have not gone a second time. So the first thing she's telling me is, she says, you see this red carpet? It represents the blood of Christ and the blood of the saints. It's the foundation of the church. Well, I just thought it was gaudy carpet, but now that is absolutely beautiful. And she was pointing out the chandeliers, which our chandeliers have images of the saints, of Old Testament and New Testament saints. And she said they illuminate us towards Christ. The Old Testament saints point towards Jesus, and the New Testament saints illuminate what Jesus taught. And so I'm now looking at all of these things she said about the censer and how it reminds us of the Virgin Mary. And I thought, okay, here we go, the Virgin Mary that they worship, you know. But then she was saying how the censer holds a burning coal, yet it doesn't combust into flames. But she said, Mary, being just a woman, and that really rang with me, being just a woman, held God within her and was not consumed by it. When we left there, I have to say, it wasn't like the services that I had gone to where there's some really good preaching, and the pastor, if he's not sweating, then it's not been a sermon, you know, and you holler and stuff like that, where you walk out and you go, boom, that was great. But there was this thing that was like an aroma that just stayed with me all day long. And it was like the hymns, of course, in which I could not sing for you or even know the words, were just kind of rolling over and over in my head. And it lasted for days, and I started to understand what it was that Tilo was seeing in all of this. So now we decided, you know, we really, really want to dig in and learn more about this. Not to convert, but just to learn more about this.
So one of the things that had really caught my attention was during this very long liturgy, it was very boring, and there was no real personal deep experience. And to be honest with you, 7 years in, more often than not, I don't have that much experience happen to me during liturgy. I'm sorry, I just don't. But for days and days after the liturgy, I was different. And I wasn't intending to be different. There was no attempt to change anything. I didn't even notice I was different, but my family did. They're like, you're a lot more peaceful. You're not angry and gruff and the way I would normally be. You're not dropping F-bombs every 8th word, which was, I ran a shop, and this was, you know, the all-purpose noun, adjective, pronoun, you name it. You're different. And all of a sudden I started to look and notice it myself, and I didn't know why. Because I had no profound experience happening that was triggering it that I could observe. But it was this deeper change. Same thing when I started much later praying the Agbeya. Very long, boring, repetitious prayers. But for days I'm different, and my whole life is becoming different. I was accustomed to, you go from regular life, who you are, to the pinnacle of your experience with God in 3 to 4 worship songs. And it started with a fast one, and then it moved slower, slower to this very slow, repetitious one. And that was basically your pinnacle. And then by the time you leave church, maybe by the time you leave the parking lot, you're about who you were when you showed up. And here I'm having no real profound experience, but this depth of things that are changing in me that I'm not even noticing or trying is happening. And I'm just kind of an observer of it all. And it's very strange. Is my first kind of encounter with the difference between what I was experiencing, which was an emotional level, which tends to be much quicker to rise up and quicker to go away, versus learning about spirituality in a more broad context, which is much slower to enter in much more deeply, but to remain and have more longer term impact and deeper impact within us. So this was something that, you know, was kind of new, and like I said, I wasn't even looking for, and it just kind of surprised me. Now, there were